My name's Chris, and today we're going to talk about brainwashing and mind control. And I think for many of us, we kind of maybe create a picture of some type of hypnotist that's projecting some type of magnetic energy that's interfering with the victim, and that they're being controlled by some type of power that's kind of instructing them to do something. And I don't kind of fall into that side of what mind control is. If we actually even think about mind control or brainwashing as more of psychological manipulation, then we can kind of start looking at some of the ways that we are actually conditioned. So this video actually looks at what is kind of mind control or psychological manipulation, and how is it used across different industries, where some industries use it more ethically than others. So for me, psychological manipulation is really an intent about shaping a certain behaviour that I want to act out at an unconscious level. And that is really, really important, because 90% of our behaviour is triggered or is controlled by our unconscious mind. So let's take a driving example. I could be listening to the radio, I could be talking to the person next to me, and I'm driving along. And after an hour, I get to my end destination, and I really haven't paid a lot of attention. In fact, I've been conditioned to see the red light, and I know to slow down, see a green light, I speed up. Now that is all unconscious, and that becomes very, very important, because the more an unconscious behaviour is, the less control I have over that behaviour at a conscious level. So let's have a look at some of the ways that we can condition or shape a behaviour. There's only 3 ways that we can do that. We can be rewarded by a pleasure. So we know about Pavlov's dogs, that they get rewarded. There's a bell and there's dinner, and there's an associating with the bell and getting fed. Now the thing is, we have relationships with food that may not be in our best interest. If we've got a love affair with chocolate or fast food or with soft drinks or with alcohol, whatever it is, if we find a lot of pleasure as a result of indulging in those foods, we might have our first biscuit, and a second biscuit, then a third biscuit, and after we've eaten the pack, we might feel remorse. Or, we might have a litre of Coca-Cola and feel remorse, because we enjoy the pleasure in doing that action. So not all pleasurable pairings generate an outcome in our best interest. So what's the second way? Well, it's a negative reinforcement. So, the infant that puts their hand on a hot stove or gets burnt some way, by touching a hot object, an iron or whatever, and that leaves an emotional mark on that person. And they look at the item and they're like, no way am I touching that, because they remember unconsciously that the pain that action caused them. Now the third type of reinforcement is one that gets a little bit murky, and that is one of setting achievements and being encouraged to achieve goals. And as I start to see that I'm making progress in my goals, that I'm getting encouragement from that, but also other people are encouraging me, and that stimulates me to continue towards achieving the end goal. Now, encouragement doesn't always serve us too. I could be encouraged to do things that may not be serving me, but for someone else. So in the case of The Manchurian Candidate, which is a book and then was turned into a movie, we had a government agency try to brainwash people, try to manipulate people, and try to shape a behaviour where people could be triggered to assassinate diplomats on behalf of that clandestine government agency. And so, when we start to look at these kind of psychological influencing techniques, they can serve us or they can be used against us. So in the case of the Pokie Industry, they are using psychological manipulation against us. What do I mean by that? Well, here are 2 cups. I'm going to put a ball under one of those cups. And if you guess right, you get $1. And if you guess wrong, I take your $1. Now they're 50-50 odds. But the pokie industry doesn't like those odds. They like having a 1 in 10 chance of you winning. Or to put it another way, a 9 in 10 chance of you losing. Now if you think this is a fabrication, it isn't. Now if you bet $1 to find the ball, there's only one cup that has that red ball under it. All the rest have smaller amounts of money. They might have 10 cents, 15 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents. But what they want you to do is they want you to feel good about losing. They want you to feel a winner even when you lose. Now, how do they do that? Well, they use what they call a pairing technique, and they use a psychological platform in which they make you feel that there is a rule to the game that you're playing. Whether or not they're dragons, whether or not they're lanterns, whether or not they're hearts, whatever the narrative to the game is, they want you to believe that there's rules to it and that there's actually some type of progress. That's why they're constantly rewarding you all the time with little claps, little cheers, with lots and lots of lights. And then you feel that a milestone or the end is getting the feature. You feel that that's actually the reward that you want. And what's happening is you're trying to figure out a pattern to the rules, and there is no pattern. It's completely random. But your brain is now working against you, because every time that you think you're getting closer to working out the puzzle, your mind is setting up an expectation that is squirting little droplets of dopamine. And dopamine is an opiate that actually provides you pleasure. And it is rewarding you through a pleasure mechanism that is meant to be serving us, but it's serving against us. We are the Manchurian candidate, and this machine is manipulating us. It is rewarding us for losing our money. So now we believe that we've kind of worked out what the puzzle is. We get to a feature, and we set this massive expectation that we're about to be rewarded and validated for playing this machine, because it's rewarding us to be determined. It is rewarding us for our determination to keep playing, which is the worst behaviour we can do, because the whole machine's designed against us. And yet we still believe somehow that we can work out the puzzle. We can work out to solve the problem, and that we're actually progressing to actually solving it. So what I want to leave you with is, why is it that so many people, when they leave a venue, get 50 metres down the road, and all of a sudden the hypnotic trance evaporates, and then all of a sudden the realisation that they've lost their rent, they've lost their pay, they've lost whatever it is that they had, they've lost it. And it isn't the first time they've done it, it isn't the second, but it's a reoccurring pattern. And yet they're unwilling or they're unable to break that habit. Because the thing is, psychologically, they're going back for one more biscuit. Once you taste that one biscuit, you're locked in, because the pleasure and reward system is outside our conscious mind. There's a show I thoroughly recommend everybody should watch, and it's called Ka-Ching, and there is a link at the bottom of this video that goes into this in a little bit more detail. But the last thing is that if we have to break the habit of being a lab rat, and that somebody is manipulating our dopamine systems to work against us, then you should know about that, and then have a little bit more conscious insight about how those machines are designed to form a relationship with you to take your money.